Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to get super practical. We're breaking down the essential building blocks for modern teaching, the actual, tangible pieces that can take a lesson from just good enough to truly future-ready.
So this is the million-dollar question, right? It's the challenge every single one of us faces when we sit down to plan. How do we create something that doesn't just check the boxes, but actually connects with students and prepares them for the world out there? Well, the answer, as we're about to see, is all about having the right components in your toolkit.
Now, the source material talks about this big picture idea called the Future Ready Unit Planning System. And that's great, but for our explainer today, we're going to zoom in. We're focusing on the individual puzzle pieces inside that system, the specific parts you can actually use to build some incredible learning experiences.
Okay, let's start right where the action happens, inside the classroom. We're talking about the tools that you and your students are going to be interacting with day in and day out. These are the absolute must-haves.
This toolkit really comes down to three key things. You can almost think of them as the engine of the classroom. You've got the activities themselves, the guide for the teacher, and the directions for the student. Each one has a really critical job to do.
Now, what's so important about these activities is their purpose. I mean, these are not just busy work. They're specifically engineered as lessons you can use right away that actively build those crucial 21st century skills. Getting students to ask deep questions, to work with each other, and to use media in a smart, responsible way.
And for us educators, the teacher guides are an absolute game changer. They do two massive things for us. First, they make planning way simpler and save us that one resource we never have enough of, time. But, and this is just as important, they're also designed to help us grow professionally, basically turning every lesson into a chance to get a little better at our craft.
This leads to something that's so incredibly important: the student directions. It's about so much more than just telling kids what to do. When instructions are crystal clear, it's empowering. When students get the what and the why, they stop being passive listeners and they start becoming active owners of their own learning journey.
So we've got our core tools for the classroom, but we all know that real, effective learning doesn't just happen in a bubble. So this next set of components is all about building a bridge from the classroom out into the wider community. And here you can see how two very different tools actually work toward the same goal: connection. On one side, you have family notifications, which build that vital partnership between home and school. And on the other, you have administrator highlights, which make sure that all the great work happening in the classroom is visible and connected to the bigger school-wide goals. Okay, so you might be thinking, how do all of these awesome pieces actually fit together? How do they form a sequence that makes sense? Well, that's where the blueprint comes in. Every single one of these units is built on a proven, really powerful instructional framework. And here it is, the 5E learning cycle. It's such a simple but incredibly effective way to structure learning. Instead of that old, I teach, you listen, then you take a test model, this takes students on a full journey. It starts by sparking their curiosity in the engage phase, all the way to celebrating what they've learned in the evaluate phase. It makes sure every lesson feels like part of a complete, meaningful story. All right, so we've looked at the individual components, right? We have the classroom toolkit, the tools for community connection, and that 5E framework that holds it all together. So now, let's put it all together and see the kind of impact these pieces have when they're all working in harmony. And this, right here, is why focusing on components is so powerful. Because when they're all combined thoughtfully, it's a win for everybody. Teachers get more clarity and become more efficient. Students feel a sense of ownership and the learning feels relevant to their lives. Families feel looped in and connected, and administrators can clearly see how it all aligns with the big picture strategy. It creates this complete, healthy ecosystem for learning. And in the end, it really all comes back to this one vision from the source material. It's not about some huge, scary overnight change. It's about the steady, intentional process of building the classrooms our students deserve, one thoughtful, well-designed module at a time. So, to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. Of all these pieces we've talked about, the plug-and-play activities, the teacher guides, the communication tools, which one of those could you bring into your classroom tomorrow and see the biggest, most immediate transformation? Something to think about.